this video we're going to talk about one of the trickier parts of installing a louvered roof, which is doing an angled section. So with the angled section, there's two big considerations and two big difficulties. One is placing the bearings, and two is how you're going to connect the system together, how you're going to form that structure to keep it sound. As far as forming the system together, if you have a standard angle like a 30-degree angle or 45-degree angle, you should probably be able to find a bracket at a local hardware store that will fit that angle. Otherwise, you might have to get something specially made or fabricated. As far as placing the bearings, what you're going to have to do is place all of your bearings along the square side of the system. And what we like to do is we like to take a laser level or a laser line and shoot that across the system, starting at the center point of the bearing on the square side and shooting it over to the other side. And what we'll do to make sure that that is square to the system is I'll take the tape measure and I'll measure from the front of the beam all the way across at several intervals to make sure that that measurement from the front of the beam to where that laser line is hitting is consistent, to make sure that we're square. That laser line will tell you where the center point of your bearing is on the other side. We don't recommend trying to just do the math on it. Some people have tried that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you know what your angle is exactly, it'll work. But if you're off by just a couple degrees, then just trying to do the math and measuring it out doesn't end up working out. Your bearings are going to be off, and you're going to have a hard time getting it to close flat. Other people have used other methods, such as using large framing squares to figure out where that bearing needs to go. So there are different methods. I like the laser level most because it's pretty simple. It shoots all the way across the system. I don't have to worry about tension in a line or whether or not the square that I bought is of high enough quality or if it's gotten damaged, anything like that. The other big consideration is the direction that the louvers are facing when you're installing this. When you're doing an angled section, the drip edge side has to be the long point of the louver. That's because this side comes up, so that's going to stay clear of the beam. If you have the back side of the louver as the long point, as that rotates up, that's going to run into the beam, into that angled portion of the beam, and it's not going to open fully. You're going to get damage to the beam, you're going to get damage to the bracket and the pivot bar and other components. So the drip edge point of the louver always has to be the long point on these angle sections.